so far off the map that it might as well not exist.
Protect the livestock. Aye, Stoic.
I don't want to fight dragons.
Come on.
When Vikings attack a village called Burke, the residents leave their houses to fight back. Interestingly, dragons have been disturbing the people of Burke for a long time, and they're now regarded as pests. A boy named Hiccup looks excited to join the other residents in taking down the dragons, but his dad, Stoic, who also happens to be the chief of the tribe, tells him to go back into the house. Hiccup doesn't want to do this, so he heads over to grab the bolus launcher he recently made.
So we decided to take the fight to them.
At a local blacksmith shop. When he gets to the shop, the blacksmith, Gobber, stops Hiccup from leaving with the bolus launcher. Hiccup says he really wants to help take down the dragons, but Gobber doesn't believe he's capable of doing that because every time he has tried to help, he ends up making things worse. As Hiccup insists that he wants to help, he tries to show Gobber how the launcher works. Unfortunately, he hits someone with a bolus in the process, and Gobber tells him to stay back and sharpen the weapons inside the shop. Hiccup looks disappointed by this,
But they're nothing without their captain.
and while he's at the shop, he sees a group of cool kids, Snotlout, Fishlegs, Toughnut, and Roughnut, trying to help out. Hiccup also sees their captain, Astrid, who is his crush, and he stares at her as she walks with the group. Astrid notices this and asks what's wrong, but Hiccup pretends not to know what she's talking about. As the kids walk away, Gobber tells Hiccup to continue sharpening the swords.
2 minutes. I'll take down a dragon. My life.
Hiccup then tries to convince Gobber to let him go out to help like the other kids. Hiccup says killing a dragon would mean a lot to him because it could change his life and possibly help him get a girlfriend. Gobber insists that Hiccup can't help because he's a weirdo who only makes things worse. Hiccup looks disappointed by this, and he watches as the other residents battle against different kinds of dragons, including a Gronkle, a two-headed Zippleback, a Nadder, and a monstrous nightmare. Interestingly, a dragon called the Night Fury,
But the ultimate prize?
which no one has ever seen before, stays in the dark and spits fire at the village. When Hiccup hears that a Night Fury is around, he looks excited, but Gobber tells him to stay inside the shop. After Gobber heads out to help the other villagers, Hiccup refuses to stay back. He then leaves the shop with his bolus launcher and takes it close to the edge of the village. As he then sees the Night Fury flying around in the dark, he shoots a bolus at it. Luckily, the dragon gets hit and Hiccup looks excited. However, another dragon appears in front of him, and he's forced to run away.
Right, look. Do not let that escape.
The dragon doesn't stop chasing him, and as Stoic sees this, he quickly heads over to save his son. Unfortunately, the dragons eventually leave Burke with nearly all the livestock, and Stoic looks disappointed. Hiccup then mentions that he hit the Night Fury, but Stoic doesn't believe this because no one has seen it before. Hiccup says it's because the Night Fury uses the night as its camouflage, but that he was still able to shoot it down. Stoic believes Hiccup is lying, and he tells his son to stop. He adds that whenever Hiccup steps outside, disaster happens.
Aye. Dragon no one's ever
He also mentions that he has bigger problems to deal with because winter is almost here and he has a lot of villagers to feed. Hiccup jokes that everyone already has big bellies, but Stoic doesn't find this funny. He also asks why Hiccup can't just follow simple orders. Hiccup says it's because when he sees a dragon, he always wants to kill it. Stoic says Hiccup may be many things, but he's not a dragon killer. As Hiccup is told to go back into the house, Toughnut and Roughnut scold him for ruining things. They also imply that if Hiccup were a nobody, he'd have been sent away from the village.
Stop trying so hard to be something you're not.
Astrid says being the son of the chief surely has privileges, and Hiccup looks disappointed that no one believes in him. Snotlout also brags about his dad, Spitalout, being proud of him. However, Spitalout walks past the kids and warns his son not to speak to him in public. Meanwhile, Gobber follows Hiccup home and tells him to stop trying to be what he's not. Hiccup then says he really wants to be like everyone and make his dad proud. After Hiccup enters the house,
May I remind you?
Gobber heads back to the village hall for a meeting with all the villagers. Hiccup then sneaks out of the house to find the dragon that he shot down. Elsewhere at the meeting, Stoic tells all the villagers that he believes it's time for them to find and destroy the dragon's nest so they don't have to worry about dragons anymore. The villagers don't think the dragon's nest even exists, but Stoic convinces them that it's real. He also tells the village witch, Gothi, to ask the gods if they can go. After Gothi throws some bones down on the table,
The chance of finding the nest before the ice sets in.
she nods her head and signals that the gods want the Vikings to head out to find the nest. They all agree to do this, and as everyone leaves the hall, Stoic stops Gobber and reminds him that it's time to train the recruits who will become warriors in the future. He says he won't be around because he'll go with the others to find the nest, and he wants Gobber to be in charge. Gobber agrees to do it, and he asks if Hiccup can join the training. Stoic says Hiccup isn't ready, and that he's not really Viking material.
Molten steel, razor-sharp blade.
Gobber then mentions that Stoic has to give Hiccup a chance because he really wants to make everyone proud. Meanwhile, as Hiccup walks through the woods, he finds the Night Fury still trapped in the bolus. Hiccup looks shocked and realizes that the dragon is still alive. Since this is a chance for him to kill a dragon, Hiccup brings out his knife. However, as he looks at the helpless dragon's eye, he feels pity for it and decides to leave it alone. As he's about to walk away, he hears the dragon growling in pain, so he heads back to release it. The dragon seems shocked by this, and as it gets freed, it turns toward Hiccup and roars loudly in front of him. Hiccup looks scared, but the dragon eventually spares him and flies away clumsily. That night, when Hiccup returns home, Stoic says he wants his son to join the other recruits in learning how to kill dragons in an arena called the Trial of Flame. Hiccup says he doesn't want to kill dragons anymore because he thinks he can't do it. Stoic believes Hiccup will do it one day, and he says that the Trial of Flame is where Vikings are made and heroes are forged. Hiccup says he's none of those things, but Stoic insists that he has to join the training. He also gives his son a weapon, and even though Hiccup doesn't feel great about this, he agrees to join the training.
No more this.
The next day, Gobber welcomes Snotlout, Astrid, Fishlegs, Toughnut, and Roughnut to the Trial of Flame. Fishlegs happens to be a nerd, and he says he can't wait to see some of the dragons he has read about. Suddenly, Hiccup arrives, and the other kids look surprised to see him. Toughnut and Roughnut imply that Stoic probably had to pull some strings to get his son to train with them. Hiccup then asks if they're not too old for the training, and this gets them pissed. Before they can attack Hiccup, Fishlegs stops them and explains that Toughnut and Roughnut have failed a few times, and that's why they're back in the Trial of Flame.
Just a few of the many species you will learn to fight.
Following this, Gobber tells the recruits that the training will make them warriors who can fight against dragons. He says that the best performer will get the title of Top Slayer, which will give the person a rare opportunity to kill their first dragon in front of the entire village. He adds that there are different dragons caged in the Trial of Flame, and they'll all have to learn how to defeat each one. As he's about to release a dragon, Snotlout asks if Gobber won't teach them something first. Gobber says they have to learn on the job, and he releases a Grunkle into the arena.
Let's go! Out of my way!
No, it's fine.
He then tells the kids to pick up a shield and try to avoid getting blasted by the dragon. Astrid performs well to distract the dragon, but as it nearly burns Hiccup alive, Gobber comes to the rescue and sends it back to its cage. He then warns Hiccup that dragons always go for the kill and never spare humans. Even though he was almost killed by the Grunkle, Hiccup can't help but wonder why the Night Fury spared him. After training ends for the day, he heads into the woods and sees that the Night Fury is trapped in a cove and can't fly away because the bolus destroyed half of its tail fin. Hiccup then secretly watches the dragon and draws it in his book. As he eventually makes a sound, the dragon sees him but spares him again.
Where did Astrid go wrong in the ring today?
That night, Hiccup arrives late for dinner with the other recruits. Gobber says Hiccup needs to take things seriously, but he just sits alone at a different table. Gobber then tells the recruits that they have to read the Book of Dragons to find out everything they need to know about the creatures they'll be fighting against. Fishlegs says he has read it before, and as Tough Nut and Rough Nut walk away because they're not interested in the book, he follows them and tries to tell them some of the things he read. Before Astrid leaves, Hiccup tries to strike up a conversation with her.
Is there a third option?
He says that dragons might not be so bad, but Astrid cannot believe he just said that. Hiccup says humans might be part of the problem, but Astrid mentions that dragons are very bad and dangerous. She adds that he's taking everything they're doing for granted because he has never had to work for anything in his life. She says she's different and she's not scared of hard work, as she mentions that she even wants to be chief one day. Hiccup says he's sure his dad would be proud of her because she's the kind of child he wanted, not him. Astrid just tells him to stay away from her, and Hiccup looks disappointed. He then opens the Book of Dragons and realizes that there's nothing on a Night Fury because no one has seen it before. The next day, during training, Astrid stands out again while facing off against a dragon.
Also known to toy with his victims.
And she even saves Hiccup from getting crushed. After she sends the dragon back into its cage, Gobber praises her, but she seems pissed that the other recruits aren't taking things as seriously as she is. She also turns to Hiccup and tells him to pick a side. Meanwhile, Stoic leads the warriors toward a place where he believes they'll find the dragon nest. When they get there, they're attacked by dragons, who also try to stop them from escaping. Elsewhere, Hiccup goes to meet the Night Fury and feeds it a fish. After the dragon eats a part of the fish, it gives Hiccup the leftover. Even though Hiccup doesn't feel like eating it, he's forced to do it because he wants to please the dragon.
I don't have any more.
After a while, the dragon gets more comfortable having Hiccup around, and he names it Toothless. They also play around together, and Hiccup is able to touch the dragon. That night, while Gobber is talking about his encounters with dragons, he tells the recruits that they have to target the tail and wings of a dragon during a fight. He adds that when a dragon cannot fly, it's easier to kill. Hiccup looks shocked and leaves the group, and Astrid finds this strange. Interestingly, he's now back at Gobber's shop to make a prosthetic fin for Toothless. The next day, when Hiccup meets up with Toothless, he shows his new friend the fish he brought along. As Toothless sees an eel, he seems scared, and Hiccup quickly throws it away. Hiccup then replaces the damaged fin with the prosthetic one. While he's at it, Toothless looks excited and flies away, and this scares Hiccup. Despite still having a little difficulty flying well, the prosthetic fin works just fine, and Hiccup looks excited.
I missed you. In like a super manly way.
Later that day, at the Trial of Flame, Gobber releases a Zippleback to attack the kids. While the others get knocked down easily, Hiccup manages to scare the dragon back into its cage. His mates look shocked, but it turns out that Hiccup used an eel to scare the dragon. No one knows about this, and Gobber cannot believe that Hiccup just fearlessly faced a dragon. Hiccup then leaves the arena and says that he has other things to do. Gothy also observes the training and seems impressed. Following this, Hiccup makes a saddle for Toothless and starts riding on the dragon's back. After they land in a sneeze-wort field, Hiccup realizes that the flowers make Toothless sneeze. Since this could be useful during his next training, Hiccup takes some of the flowers. He then uses it in the Trial of Flame and manages to send another dragon into its cage. Everyone looks shocked by this, and after the class ends for the day,
Came looking for you.
You did.
the other recruits ask Hiccup how he has managed to improve in just a few days. Hiccup doesn't explain anything to them, and he says he has somewhere to go. As Hiccup learns more about dragons through Toothless, he continues using simple tricks to tame the dragons in the Trial of Flame, and this leaves most of the villagers impressed. One day, after training, Astrid sees Hiccup walking through the woods and decides to follow him. However, she eventually loses him and heads back to the village. Days later, while Hiccup is out training Toothless to fly better with the prosthetic fin, Stoic returns to Burke with a few warriors who didn't die on the quest. Stoic looks unhappy when he gets out of his boat, but as some of the villagers congratulate him on his son's recent performances, he looks shocked. Gobber confirms that Hiccup is doing really well, and Stoic looks proud of his son. That night, Stoic tells Hiccup how proud he is, and he says that his son might even win Top Slayer like he did. Hiccup doesn't doesn't really look excited, but Stoic still gives him a Viking hat to show how happy he is.
With you doing so well in the ring.
He also tells Hiccup that he's sure his late wife would be proud of their son. The next day, during the battle for Top Slayer, Astrid tells Hiccup not to try any tricks, but he says he doesn't know what she's talking about. After a while, Hiccup calmly tames the dragon, and Astrid looks pissed. Stoic and the villagers look impressed, and Hiccup gets named Top Slayer, even though he expected Astrid to win it. This makes him sad because he'll have to kill a dragon tomorrow, but everyone just continues cheering for him. He then heads over to meet Toothless in the cove, but he meets Astrid there. Hiccup looks scared, but realizes that she hasn't seen Toothless just yet. He asks what she came to do, and she says she wants answers because she's sure Hiccup has a private trainer. Hiccup says he doesn't, and he tries to get her to leave, but Toothless suddenly shows up. Astrid looks shocked and nearly attacks Toothless, but Hiccup stops her.
Astrid, Toothless.
He also stops Toothless from hurting Astrid, and as he introduces her to the dragon, she looks confused. She eventually runs away, and Hiccup believes she'll tell everyone about Toothless. Before she gets to the village, Hiccup takes Toothless to pick her up and fly around with her. Astrid looks scared, and Toothless eventually drops her off close to the edge of a cliff. Hiccup then begs her to let him explain what's happening, but Astrid says she doesn't want to hear what he has to say. Hiccup says he doesn't have to talk, and he'll just show her if she joins him on a ride with Toothless. Astrid then agrees, and as Toothless flies around, she looks amazed. After a while, she says she now understands why Hiccup said dragons aren't dangerous. However, she adds that it doesn't change what the dragons have done to Berk and its people. Hiccup says he knows, but that even though a dragon killed his mom, he doesn't believe they have to keep fighting.
If we survive, I'm gonna kill you!
Astrid doesn't think he'll be able to convince the villagers, but Hiccup says he'll have to think of something because he initially planned to run away with Toothless before she caught him. Almost immediately, Toothless starts heading in a different direction, and many other dragons show up around him. Astrid and Hiccup look confused, but Toothless eventually takes them to the dragon's nest with the others. Hiccup and Astrid cannot believe this, and they watch as a big dragon rises from the ground. As the giant dragon also swallows a gronkle that failed to bring any food, Hiccup quickly tells Toothless to leave, and the other dragons follow them. When they return to the cove, Astrid figures out that the giant dragon is like a queen who controls the other dragons to hunt food for her. She says they must tell Stoic, but Hiccup begs her to wait for him to try to convince the villagers tomorrow. Astrid agrees to do this, and she thanks Hiccup for taking her around with the dragon.
That's for kidnapping me.
The next day, as the villagers gather at the Trial of Flame to watch Hiccup kill a dragon, Astrid wishes him good luck. Hiccup then tells her that if things go wrong in the arena, he doesn't want her to interfere because Stoic really respects her. After this, Stoic gives a speech saying how proud he is of his son. When he's through, Hiccup enters the arena and a monstrous nightmare is released to face him. Instead of attacking the dragon, Hiccup drops his knife and his shield. He then tries to touch the dragon while telling it to calm down, and everyone looks shocked. Stoic cannot believe this, and he tells Gobber to stop the fight. Hiccup tells them not to do that, and he says he wants everyone to see that dragons can be peaceful. Stoic seems pissed and triggers the dragon to get angry. The dragon then starts spitting fire around the arena, and Hiccup runs for his life. Coincidentally, Toothless senses that Hiccup is in trouble, and he leaves the cove. Meanwhile, Astrid enters the arena to help Hiccup, but Stoic soon comes in and tells her to leave. Almost immediately, Toothless breaks into the Trial of Flame and attacks the monstrous nightmare. Everyone looks shocked because they've never seen a Night Fury before, and they watch as Toothless scares the other dragon and sends it back into its cage. After this, Stoic attacks Toothless and tries to stab him. Hiccup begs his dad not to do that, but Toothless soon gets the upper hand. Before Toothless can set Stoic on fire, Hiccup tells the dragon to spare his dad. Toothless does this, but as Stoic gets free, he tells his warriors to hold down the dragon. Hiccup begs them not to kill the dragon, but Stoic just tells them to lock it up with the others. Shortly after, Hiccup tries to convince his dad that dragons aren't bad. Stoic cannot believe believe Hiccup is defending dragons, even though he's aware that a dragon killed his mom. Hiccup insists that Toothless is innocent, and he talks about the nest and how the Dragon Queen
He's not dangerous. He was protecting me.
gets the other dragons to hunt for her. He adds that the dragons are only doing what they're told because they're scared of being killed by the queen. Stoic then realizes that Hiccup found the nest with Toothless' help. Hiccup immediately regrets talking about the nest, and he begs his dad not to go there because it's dangerous. However, Stoic says Hiccup has picked a side, and he's no longer a Viking. He adds that Hiccup is not his son anymore. Hiccup looks disappointed by this, but he doesn't say anything. The next day, Stoic and his warriors leave Burke with Toothless on a quest to find the nest. Hiccup looks disappointed and tells Astrid that he put everyone in danger by telling Stoic about the nest. He adds that he should have just killed Toothless the other day in the woods. Astrid says everyone else would have done that, and she asks why he didn't. Hiccup then calls himself a coward and says he's the first Viking incapable of killing a dragon.
I'm the first Viking in who knows how long.
Astrid says he's also the first one to ride a dragon, and Hiccup realizes that she's right. He then says he didn't kill Toothless the other day because he could see how frightened the dragon was. He says he saw himself in Toothless, and Astrid asks what they'll do now. Hiccup says he has a crazy idea, and Astrid says she'll support him. They then meet up with the other recruits, and Hiccup convinces them to help. He also releases the caged dragons in the Trial of Flame so that each recruit can ride one. They all look shocked at first, but Hiccup convinces them that the dragons won't hurt them. Elsewhere, Toothless leads the warriors to the island where the nest is located. After they leave their boats, Stoic heads toward the nest and signals his men to shoot a flaming rock into it. As they do this, Stoic confirms that there are dragons inside the nest, and he tells his men to charge toward it.
Actually, I'm gonna stick around.
However, the dragons inside the nest suddenly fly away, and Stoic looks confused. As the ground starts shaking, Stoic realizes that there's really a big dragon inside, and he tells everyone to stay away from the nest. Almost immediately, the Dragon Queen comes out of the nest, kills some of the warriors, and sets all the boats on fire. Stoic looks shocked and tells everyone to run to the other side of the island. He then stays back to try to distract the Dragon Queen. Gobber also decides to help him, and as the dragon is about to kill them, Hiccup arrives with the others. Stoic and Gobber look shocked to see them riding dragons, and they also hear Hiccup giving his friends some instructions on how they might be able to take down the Dragon Queen. Astrid eventually drops Hiccup off on a burning ship so he can save Toothless. As the others continue fighting the Dragon Queen, Snotlout ends up landing on her back. Spitalout sees this while urging people to run to another side of the island, and he looks proud of his son.
Be careful!
While Hiccup is trying to free Toothless, the Dragon Queen steps into the river, and this causes the boat to sink. Hiccup still tries to save Toothless, but as he struggles to do this, Stoic quickly pulls him out so he won't drown. He then goes back into the water to release Toothless. After this, Hiccup climbs onto Toothless' back, but before the dragon flies away, Stoic holds his son's hand. He says he was only trying to protect his son, and Hiccup says he understands. Stoic then says that no matter how the day ends, he's proud to call Hiccup his son. This makes Hiccup happy, and he flies away to save Astrid from getting eaten by the Dragon Queen. After he drops her on land to stay with the rest of the recruits, he takes Toothless into the sky so they can lure the Dragon Queen to follow them. Gobber looks impressed and tells Stoic that he's definitely raising a future chief.
You think I did it?
Stoic says he is, and he looks proud of what his son is doing. After the Dragon Queen flies into the sky, Toothless destroys her wing membranes. Hiccup also comes up with a plan to set the Dragon Queen's insides on fire. This works out quite well, and the Dragon Queen falls back on the island and causes a huge explosion. As Toothless tries to get away from it, Hiccup falls back in, and everyone looks shocked. Toothless then heads back down down to try to save Hiccup. Stoic also runs quickly to the other side of the island to check up on his son. When he gets there, he only finds Toothless on the ground, looking hurt. This leaves Stoic devastated because he believes his son is dead. Astrid also looks sad, and as she consoles Stoic, Toothless recognizes her and shows everyone that he saved Hiccup. Even though Hiccup is still unconscious, Stoic, Astrid, and the others look happy, but Gobber suddenly notices that Hiccup has lost a leg. Much later, Hiccup wakes up in his room and sees Toothless next to him. Hiccup looks shocked
You're in my house.
because he doesn't think his dad would support this, and as he's about to stand up, he realizes that he now has a prosthetic leg. He looks disappointed, but Toothless supports him as he tries to walk. He then opens the door and quickly closes it when he sees a dragon flying nearby. He assumes that Burke is under attack, and he tells Toothless to stay back. After this, he opens the door again and sees the dragons flying around peacefully. He also sees some of the villagers relating well with the dragons, and he looks confused. Suddenly, his dad shows up behind him and asks if he likes the changes in Burke. Stoic also mentions that the ride back to Burke was amazing, and Hiccup looks impressed that his dad actually rode a dragon. Astrid then comes over to meet Hiccup, and he realizes that she now likes him. Gobber also shows up with a new prosthetic fin for Toothless. He says he saw Hiccup's designs and liked them. Almost immediately, Toothless comes outside and seems excited to try his new fin. Hiccup then helps him with it,
You wanna take it for a spin?
and they fly around together while looking happy because the villagers will now live peacefully with the dragons. After Hiccup realizes that dragons can be peaceful and friendly, he tries to convince his dad and the entire village to stop trying to kill them. No one believes Hiccup because they've always seen him as a coward, and they set out on a quest to find the dragon's nest with Toothless's help. When they get there, things don't go as planned, but luckily Hiccup and his friends show up to save the day and prove to everyone that dragons and humans can coexist. Sometimes being different is a strength that helps you make things better for everyone.